Here's a secret most people never realize. Problems only exist if you feed them. The moment you stop giving them energy, they begin to wither away and they die. So if you've ever felt stuck in a problem, this video is going to change how you think forever. And before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a strategy that helps you unlock your peak potential. So I'm Naeem Mahmood. I'm the founder of Peak Humans. I've spoken on stages across the country for Tony Robbins, and I've delivered over 1,000 talks and impacted more than 50,000 lives. My mission is simple: to help you rewire your brain for clarity, confidence, and peak performance. And today, we're going to dive into why problems only exist if you feed them, and how you can stop giving away your energy. So, problems are like plants. Think of a problem like your favorite plant. I love plants. I have a bunch of them at my house. And they keep growing real quick. And especially if you water them and give it light and you take care of them and you give them attention. So if you keep watering your problems and giving energy to your problems and paying attention to your problems every single day, guess what's going to happen? They're going to grow. They're going to get stronger. They're going to spread roots and they're going to become harder to remove. But if you stop watering that plant and those problems, it's going to start to dry up, it's going to wither away, and eventually it's going to die. Your problems are the same. They need your energy and your attention, your focus in order to survive. Because every time you obsess over a challenge, you complain about it, or you replay it in your mind, you're giving it water. You're keeping it alive. And most people don't realize this. They're just playing the same movie over and over in their mind, or playing that same soundtrack over and over in their ears. So why does the brain work this way? Because I had no clue about this until I learned this. And I studied this, and most people never get the opportunity and the privilege to learn this. Now, this isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. Your brain has something called neural pruning. Neural pruning. Think of it like a gardener that's constantly trimming your brain. The neural pathways you use the most, they get the strongest. They get thicker, they get more efficient, just like branches that keep on growing. Just like muscles, right? The more you go to the gym, the more you lift weights, the muscles, the muscle fibers, those ones get stronger and thicker, right? If you do biceps, squats, chest press, pull-ups, whatever you do, those muscles are going to get thicker and thicker and thicker and layered and layered and layered. Same in your brain and your neurons, the neural synaptic connections that myelin builds around them, if you watch my other videos. So we want to do the opposite of that for the problems. Now, the pathways you don't use, guess what happens? They get trimmed away. They wither away and they literally fade and die. Which same thing with your muscles. If I stop lifting weights and stop exercising, if I just sat in a bed all day for 60 days straight, my muscles would wither away. So if you keep focusing on the problem, your brain reinforces that problem. That's the catch-22. I used to be like this too. I used to always try to understand the problem. Why am I this way? And this is why therapy doesn't always work very much if you're just focused on the problem. Why am I this way? Why did this happen to me? What's wrong with me? And all that's doing is building the energy around the problem. It keeps building the wiring around it. Just like the idea where if you say, don't fall, or don't lose money, or I want to lose 50 pounds, your brain doesn't process the negative. It just processes, okay, don't fall, that means fall, right? Or don't lose money, that means lose money. So you want to talk about in the affirmative. So if you stop being the problem and instead you focus on solutions, new pathways form. And over time, the old wiring, the problem, it fades away. Now, this is why the problems you stop giving attention to, they eventually stop running your life. Now, don't just take my word for it. Test this out. Just like I say with everything, try it. Just stop thinking about a problem for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and see what happens. It's easier said than done because you have a habit and you're used to it, but this is where you got to train yourself and you get better and better and better. Now, let me give you an example that with a client. So this client, he constantly focused on how stressed and overwhelmed he was with his business. Every day, he'd be like, man, I'm drowning. It's a battle. I'm exhausted. I have so much on my plate. Guess what? The more he said it, the more it became true, and he was feeding the problem. So what we did is we shifted his focus. So instead of asking, why am I so stressed? Or why am I so exhausted? Or why is there so much to do? Why is there never enough time? We asked, what's the one thing I could do today to feel more in control? What's the one thing I could do today to feel more in control? That tiny change, that shift of a question in his focus, that was like taking the water away from the problem and giving it to the solution. And within weeks, his stress began to fade immediately and within weeks because he wasn't reinforcing the problem anymore. It's literally as easy as that, but it's also not that easy because you have to do it and you have to train yourself to shift your thinking from the way you're used to a new habit and pattern. So in the beginning, you have to consciously do this. You have to consciously put some effort into it. But over time, you'll get better and better. Just like the 4 levels of learning: unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious competence. So how do you stop feeding problems? You actually stop feeding your problems with 3 shifts. So number 1, catch yourself in the act. When you notice yourself spiraling on a problem, pause and ask yourself, am I feeding this problem or am I feeding the solution? Number 2, reframe your focus. So instead of asking, why is this happening or what's wrong with me, ask, what do I want instead? And what's one step I could take right now? And number 3, build new habits of attention. Each day, write down what's going right, what's something you're grateful for, and what's one small step toward your bigger vision. The more energy you give to solutions, the weaker the problems become. I tell my clients every day at the end of the day, what are your 3 wins, 3 celebrations, 3 things you're grateful for? Because at the end of the day, you're never going to do all the things you wanted to do. There's always going to be more. There's never enough time. You have to remember to shift into what I call the gain versus the gap, which I learned from Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. Now, remember, problems, they aren't permanent. They're like plants. So if you stop feeding them with your focus and your energy, they're going to wither away. Synaptic pruning or neural pruning. And when you shift that energy to your vision, to your goals, and to your solutions, those are the things that start to grow. So let's grow those goals, those solutions, the things that you want to create. So if this resonated with you and you're ready to go deeper and rewire your brain for clarity, confidence, and focus, check out the Peak Mindset Mastery Program. The link is right here in the description. Inside, you're going to learn the exact tools to stop feeding your problems and start building the mindset that makes success inevitable. So stop giving your energy to your problems, guys, and start feeding your solutions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the inside of the Peak Mindset Mastery Program.